In the early hours of September 12th, astronomers across the world witnessed an event that defied every model of how the cosmos was supposed to behave. From the cold black of interstellar space, something vast and luminous appeared, a blazing object trailing a tail so long that it spanned 5 times the width of the full moon. Amateur skywatchers reported it before most observatories had even confirmed it. Within hours, data poured in from telescopes on every continent, and the conclusion was inescapable. This was no ordinary comet. The object, later designated C2025R2 Swan, was something larger, brighter, and far stranger than anything humanity had ever seen. Its discovery might have been a thrilling anomaly on its own, but what sent shockwaves through the astronomical community was the timing. On nearly the opposite side of the solar system, another interstellar visitor, 3I Atlas, already known for its unpredictable behavior, was also inbound, hurtling toward the Sun. Both would reach their closest approach within a span of only 10 days. A convergence so improbable that some scientists quietly admitted it seemed impossible. The sky was delivering 2 visitors from the void, each exhibiting traits that broke the rules of celestial mechanics, and both arriving as if choreographed to meet in the same narrow corridor of space. What began as a rare astronomical coincidence soon evolved into a mystery that challenged the very foundations of scientific understanding. Swan's sheer size immediately set it apart. Its estimated diameter exceeded that of any known comet by orders of magnitude, 100 times larger than 3I Atlas. Its reflective surface bore unmistakable traces of nickel, cobalt, and iron, metals usually found in the cores of planets or the hulls of human-made spacecraft. While typical comets scatter sunlight in irregular patterns, Swan's reflections were sharp and metallic, as though polished. Its tail shimmered not with vaporized ice, but with rhythmic pulses, faintly repeating at measured intervals. To the trained eye, it looked less like chaos and more like control. Researchers began to notice that the object behaved less like a fragment of natural debris and more like a constructed vessel. It resisted the intense radiation near the Sun with remarkable stability, maintaining brightness levels that no ordinary comet could sustain. Its energy output, based on thermal readings, surpassed what could be explained by sublimation or reflection. Some astronomers began referring to it in whispers as the fortress. Its tail, the longest ever recorded, didn't disperse randomly. Instead, it pulsed with microbursts of energy, as if controlled thrusts were guiding its trajectory. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas, though far smaller, displayed its own peculiarities. It accelerated in sudden, precise bursts, expelling material in discrete jets instead of gradual outgassing. Each thrust required energy equivalent to 10 nuclear reactors running at full capacity, an impossible feat for a body composed of dust and ice. Together, the 2 objects seemed to form a pattern, the smaller, agile Atlas acting like a scout, and the massive, shielded Swan following as the mothership. The analogy spread quietly through research circles, where incredulity was quickly giving way to unease.
When their trajectories were mapped, the symmetry deepened the mystery. Swan approached from the direction of Aquarius, while Atlas entered from Sagittarius, 2 points separated by nearly a quarter of the entire celestial sphere. Yet despite these vast origins, both objects would reach their perihelion, their closest pass to the Sun, within just 3 days of each other. Statistically, this was beyond improbable. In a universe where random comet arrivals are scattered across decades or centuries, such synchronized timing suggested not just chance, but design. And then, just as their orbits brought them nearest the Sun, the world's telescopes went blind. From October 8th to October 18th, the glare of the Sun made both objects impossible to observe from Earth. It was the one period in which their exact positions and activities could not be verified. For scientists, this blackout was routine, a predictable limitation of solar observation. But for others, it seemed almost too convenient. The 2 objects had timed their approach to coincide with the one moment when the planet's instruments could not see them. Some began to suspect that this was not just an astronomical rendezvous, but a deliberate meeting in the dark. As soon as data collection resumed, the anomalies multiplied. Swan's luminosity remained astonishingly stable, far beyond what natural processes could sustain. Its energy levels suggested it was emitting, not merely reflecting, light, perhaps using plasma bursts or engineered propulsion. Estimates placed its power output at 10,000 gigawatts, dwarfing the entire electrical capacity of Earth. For comparison, that would be like every power plant on the planet running simultaneously for a single purpose, to move an object through space with mechanical precision. To some researchers, the conclusion was inescapable. This was not a comet. It was a machine. The implications were staggering, and so was the reaction. Major space agencies, NASA, ESA, ISRO, suddenly restricted the release of high-resolution data. Officially, they cited solar conjunction downtime and the risk of corrupted readings from glare interference. Unofficially, leaks began to surface. Anonymous sources spoke of classified directives, canceled observation requests, and researchers reassigned without explanation. The flow of raw data dried up. Public tracking of SWAN and ATLAS was halted. Independent astronomers, shut out of official channels, began coordinating privately across forums and encrypted networks. Groups like the Abro Tracker Collective in Spain and the Bill Gates Distributed Telescope Network pooled their resources to maintain round-the-clock monitoring. Their findings only deepened the mystery. During the blackout, both objects had slightly altered course, as though executing maneuvers. As curiosity spread, historians and archaeologists joined the conversation. SWAN's estimated orbital period, about 22,554 years, meant it had passed through the inner solar system before, roughly at the end of the last ice age. That period coincided with a turning point in human prehistory, a time when early civilizations began to form and record symbols of the heavens in stone. At sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, ancient carvings depict spirals, star clusters, and blazing objects crossing the sky. Could these be ancient witnesses to SWAN's previous visit? If so, the event might have left an imprint not only in rock, but in myth, echoes of fiery gods and celestial messengers that filled early human lore.
Behind the veil of official secrecy, rumors of a covert probe began to circulate. A small unmanned craft, reportedly launched from a classified orbital platform, had been sent to intercept SWAN and gather high-resolution data. It never returned. Telemetry cut out less than 2 million kilometers from the object. The final image it transmitted was a distorted reflection, an echo of the probe itself, mirrored as though SWAN had scanned it back. Engineers analyzing the data described what appeared to be an energy lattice, a kind of electromagnetic barrier that deflected the probe's sensors. If that interpretation is correct, then SWAN was not only massive and self-sustaining, but actively defensive, aware of intrusions and capable of countering them. Spectral data from independent sources added another dimension. SWAN's composition included traces of complex organic molecules, structured polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, compounds that serve as the building blocks of life. But these were not the chaotic mixes found in ordinary comets. They were refined, orderly, and aligned in repeating patterns. To some, it hinted at purpose. SWAN might not only be mechanical, but biological, or at least a hybrid construct capable of carrying and distributing the seeds of life across star systems. If ATLAS functioned as a mobile observer and SWAN as a colossal carrier, then their synchronized return could signify a repeating cycle of observation, collection, and dissemination. Then came the signal. Ground-based receivers and amateur satellite networks detected a focused burst of energy from SWAN, not directed at Earth, but at the Moon. The transmission was complex, layered with harmonics, polarization shifts, and amplitude modulations that looked less like natural noise and more like structured data. NASA's Deep Space Network triangulated the signal's target, a specific region on the lunar surface known for its gravitational anomalies, or mascons, dense concentrations of mass hidden beneath the crust.
For decades, mascons had puzzled scientists. Now, the possibility arose that they weren't purely geological. Some theorists suggested that the signal was not observational, but activational, a trigger aimed at something dormant beneath the moon's surface. Within days, Earth itself began to show strange responses. Magnetometers around the world registered pulses, synchronized to Swan's emission cycles, every 43 seconds. Seismographs detected ultra-low frequency vibrations not associated with tectonic movement. Even animal behavior shifted. Whales changed migration routes, birds altered flight paths, and insects deviated from known navigational patterns. It was as if the planet's natural rhythms had locked on to an external frequency, a resonance that hinted at communication or control. Scientists hesitated to link these phenomena directly, but the timing was uncanny. Whatever Swan was doing out there in the dark, Earth was reacting to it. By late October, whispers turned into open speculation. What if the events of 2017, when astronomers first discovered the enigmatic interstellar object known as Oumuamua, were part of a larger sequence? Oumuamua had been silent and featureless, its trajectory unnatural, but its purpose unknown. Some began to call it the lock, a precursor sent to test our awareness. In this framework, Atlas and Swan formed the key, a pair of entities arriving together to complete a cycle. The smaller, nimble Atlas might have been the messenger, collecting data or scouting conditions, while Swan, with its monumental scale and energy reserves, represented authority, the execution of whatever purpose that cycle entailed.
The eerie confirmation came when both Voyager spacecraft, dormant for years at the edge of the solar system, briefly transmitted unexplained data bursts synchronized with Swan's pulse intervals. Analysts describe the transmissions as protocol anomalies, glitches in code. But the timing was exact. Some began to wonder whether these ancient human probes, drifting silently for decades, had been recognized and perhaps awakened by something that understood them. As the blackout period ended and public attention turned restless, the institutions that once promised transparency grew quiet. Data releases slowed to a trickle, often redacted or delayed. Requests for Webb telescope imagery were denied under vague pretexts. Inside the scientific community, a new kind of fear took root, the realization that some discoveries are not suppressed because they are false, but because they are true. Independent researchers noticed another pattern in Swan's signals. Its emissions were not random bursts, but structured intervals, operating between soft X-rays and gamma frequencies, bands of the electromagnetic spectrum rarely produced by natural phenomena. The pulses appeared to encode intervals, much like binary sequences. The implication was unsettling. Swan wasn't merely broadcasting, it was communicating. The destination of that communication remains uncertain. The burst toward the moon suggested a purpose beyond observation, perhaps an exchange or activation. Some speculated that the sun itself served as an energy node, a refueling station where both objects could recharge or relay data. Others proposed something bolder, that their convergence was a rendezvous not with each other, but with us. For tens of thousands of years, they might have passed unnoticed, their cycles invisible to primitive eyes. Only now, with technology capable of seeing across the void, had humanity become part of their plan. Our observation might have been the final trigger, the signal that confirmed the watchers had finally been noticed. In the weeks that followed, strange silences filled the space agency's press rooms. Data from major observatories remained withheld. A few whistleblowers hinted that private discussions had turned philosophical, even existential. If Swan and Atlas were not random, if they were part of a system that operates on timescales longer than civilization itself, then humanity was no longer the passive observer of the universe. It was participating in something older, larger, and beyond comprehension. The most haunting possibility is that Swan's mission is not about contact at all,
but about continuity, that it is part of an ancient mechanism designed to monitor, seed, or reset the conditions for life across galaxies. In that framework, Earth is not unique, but one node among billions, a data point in a vast experiment that has been running since before our species emerged. The fortress in the sky, with its pulsing energy and impenetrable shield, could be both archive and instrument, preserving the blueprint of existence itself. As the object receded into the glare of the sun and beyond the reach of ordinary instruments, it left behind a world transformed, not by destruction, but by awareness. Humanity had glimpsed something that seemed to look back, and perhaps that, more than any data point or orbital model, is what truly changed everything. For centuries, we have stared into the cosmos searching for proof that we are not alone. In 2025, the answer may have arrived, not as a message we could decipher, but as a presence we could feel, resonating through magnetic fields, through animal instincts, through the very crust of the Earth itself.